The subject of this interview, although I don't like the expression, is Dr. Orville T. Bailey, who is Professor Emeritus of Neuropathology at the University of Illinois at Chicago and Distinguished Professor of Pathology at Rush University, also in Chicago. The interviewer is Hubert R. Catchpole, Emeritus Professor of Pathology at the University of Illinois and currently Professor of Histology at the same university. I shall start, Orville, by asking you about your childhood, origins, etc., if you choose. I know that this all happened in upstate New York, but this covers a wide area, and perhaps we could tie it down to your home city, town, or village.
I was born in the high Catskills, 63 miles southwest of Albany, on a farm which was a mile from a village with a population not exceeding 35. Since I was an only child, my parents thought I should go to school early to have children to play with, and I finished the work of my first grade by the time before my 5th birthday.
Oh, by the way, have any dates been mentioned? I would say you were probably born in late Edwardian times.
Yes.
Oh, would you call it that? Or?
1909.
Ah, okay.
And we had in the one-room school in this tiny village, there were all 8 grades, and I am convinced that this is the best elementary education which one can possibly get, preparing me to go to high school, which was in another village with a population of about 150, and that also was a bit on the small side, for there were only 4 in my graduating class from that. I found that this type of education, which might be scorned in the present day, was ideal preparation to go to university. And when I went to Syracuse University, entering just after my 50th birthday, I found that I had very much less trouble in accommodating myself to the university environment than the people who came from the grandiose large schools.
So you went to the university at 15?
Yes.
And graduated?
Graduated just after my 19th birthday.
I had an idea that you also started medical school at a decidedly early age.
Of course, naturally, I started the medical school at that, and graduated from medical school at 23.
You graduated from Syracuse
at 19.
At 19. When did you decide to go to medical school then, or had this been a?
When I went to Syracuse, and it was time for me to choose what I would like to do, it was quite obvious that I would like to do some kind of teaching. And as I took various courses, I seemed to do best and to be most interested in mathematics and in biology, but particularly chemistry. And I decided that the teaching of academic medicine was for me. I made that decision rather unspectacularly, but I stuck to it, and I have always been very glad I did.
You graduated from Syracuse in 28 then? And,
Yes, 28.
And then went to Albany, which...
Then I went to Albany Medical College, and once again, it was a very small, by modern standards, a very small medical school. And there were 26 in my graduating class, in contrast to the 400 or so at the University of Illinois. This I thought was a very good, had many advantages. You came quite close in contact to some of the quite distinguished faculty. The one that influenced me most, I think, was Dr. John Sampson, who was one of the early trainees at Hopkins and was a gynecologist of extraordinary ability, of international reputation, who had whose hobby, or really his second career, was in pathology, and he did this very exacting operating all day, and then went home and did another day's work in pathology. He's perhaps best known for Sampson cysts and his work on endometriosis.
He got his name onto a...
What?
He got his name onto a disease,
Yes.
in fact. Well, that's always a matter for congratulation, I imagine, even if it's only a cyst. Huh?
Well, that was the cysts from which result from endometriosis.
I see. I've got a recollection that you spent some time in laboratories at Albany also.
Yes, I was very fortunate in between my third and fourth years. I had started. I was given the opportunity of working in a laboratory, which gave me the idea of working in the laboratory was to correlate the laboratory findings with the clinical, which was a very good thing for anybody at that stage of.
And this was rather early in the history of that type of.
But it so happened that in August of that summer, there as a result of a couple of very unfortunate happenings, the pathology department was very short of help, and that I was asked to go to the pathology, to stop what I was doing, go to the pathology department, and to work nights and weekends through my senior year. This, I think, was one of the things which got me interested specifically in becoming a pathologist, though I have never had any interest in becoming a clinician.
Yes. Now, for advanced, following Albany, for advanced training, you decided on the Peter Bent Brigham Hospital.
Yes, since I was determined to become a pathologist by that time, I looked around, and the two leading ones for my taste at that moment were the Peter Bent Brigham, where Dr. Esbert Wolbach was in charge, and the Boston City Hospital, where the great Frank Mallory was the pathologist.
Well, that was quite a decision.
I
those
had
two,
I had offers from both of them, but I once again chose the small hospital with the intimate contact with Dr. Wolbach, and particularly with the excellent middle grade people on the faculty, and perhaps also because Dr. Mallory was nearing the end of his career.
Yes, he would be.
And he was a strict morphologist, whereas Dr. Wolbach had done some quite nice experimental work, and there was a good deal of experimental work going on in his laboratory.
I happened to, Dr. Wolbach was in Chicago, this would be after the war, and I was lucky enough to come into contact with him then, and I was at that time working with centrifuges and microscopes simultaneously, and he felt that that was a very good idea.
Dr. Wolbach was always looking for new methods of working.
Yes.
He was an extraordinary photomicrographer, and I only regret that he did not live to see the wide application of electron microscopy.
Yes, yes.
He would have been delighted. His own experimental work was in two directions. One, in the rickettsial diseases, and the other in the specific in the vitamin deficiencies.
Yes.
And excess.
Yes. Well, now this was Harvard. You've already characterized Dr. Wolbach. Do you have any comments on the neurosurgical and surgical services at Harvard at that time? Dr. Cushing had left, I think.
Dr. Cushing and I overlapped at the Brigham for the grand total of 3 days.
I see.
And I saw the great man only once. The neurosurgery was done by Dr. Cutler, who was a general surgeon and was, if I may say so, not as successful as Dr. Cushing.
He was his successor. He was Cushing's successor, yes.
There was no neurologist, and the neuropathology was done by Dr. Wolbach. Dr. Wolbach had an interesting idea that all of his pupils should, if they wanted to become known as academic neuropathologists, should do everything, but there should be one place where they, one area where they were expert and would be known beyond the confines of the laboratory. And when he found out that I had this interest in neuropathology, he encouraged it and gave me opportunities which, even when I was a beginning intern, which were quite unusual. This seemed to be a perfectly valid concept because of Dr. Wolbach's residence. They almost, with very few exceptions, ended up as full professors and very often as the heads of departments.
Yes, so I understand that he was very successful along that,
yes.
Along that line. What were the duties? And you became then ultimately resident, or you?
The residency was set up in such a way that you began by a year at the Brigham, then went across the street to the Children's Hospital,
Yes.
where you were called a resident, but the duties were not much different. And then back to the Brigham for 2 years. And it was those 2 years when you had the intimate contact with Dr. Wolbach, and and that was where he polished the training.
Ah, yeah. Those were the duties. What was the compensation of the resident staff in those years, or is that something better not
Well, the
brought up?
compensation for the resident staff was something which causes laughter now, but it was quite expected. That was the way things went in those days. The first 2 years that I was after medical school, I received no compensation at all, except room, board, and laundry. The third year, I received $500, and the fourth and fifth year, $900, which was the highest paid highest paid resident in pathology in the city of Boston.
Well, I assume that it allowed a certain fling, but it still doesn't seem. It's one of those things that we do laugh about these days. Now, you had a break during Harvard, the time at Harvard. I think you had a break at Montreal, did you not?
Oh, yeah. I finished my 2 years as a resident I finished my year as resident at the Children's on July 1st, but I could not start at the Brigham until October. And I decided that my taste for neuropathology being what it was, I would go to the Montreal Neurological Institute and find out whether I really did like it or not.
Yeah, no, this was...
There, particularly the influence of Dr. William Vernon Cohn, I found out that neuropathology was indeed a rewarding kind of specialty. And after that, I never had any real thought that I would not choose any other area of concentration. At that time, there were no, or there were very few, full-time neuropathologists, and I did not become a full-time neuropathologist, disregarding all the rest of pathology, until 1950.
Montreal, that was Wilder Penfield's department. That was Wilder Penfield's department?
It was Wilder Penfield's department.
What was he exactly?
He was one of the kindest, gentlest, most able people that you could ever want to meet. He was, at that time, highly engaged in international activities, and he was gone much of the time. And Dr. Cohn was doing the operating. He was also, by appointment, in charge of the pathology laboratory, and he used to teach in the evenings, and so I adjusted my time so that I was sure I was in the laboratory when he was doing his teaching.
Now
and as a matter of fact, I was the only one there, so I got once again
the benefit.
the individual attention.
Now, returning to Boston and completing your residency, you were appointed a junior fellow
Yes.
of the Society of Fellows at
Yes.
Harvard. Now, I know that this is a very distinct honor, but I'm going to ask you anyway, and maybe embarrass you a bit by asking you what were the qualifications and the privileges and maybe the duties of fellows.
The procedure, the Society of Fellows had only been started for something like 4 years.
At that time, I see.
There may not be more than 24 at any one time, but since it's a 3-year appointment, that means that there are not more than 8, but some have 2 terms, and therefore there are even less than that. The year that I was appointed, there were 5. One of whom received the Nobel Prize.
Now, these were picked from the Harvard Society at large.
They are picked from anywhere. They are Mr. Henderson, who was the chairman, was very worried about excessive ingrowth, and he saw that there were a certain number from other places, but many of them were were from Harvard.
Yeah, these were the times of L.J. Henderson.
Yes.
That was the Henderson you just mentioned, I believe.
Yes.
Yes, and Alfred North Whitehead, the
Yes.
philosopher, mathematician and philosopher.
Mr. Whitehead was one of the Mr. Whitehead, Mr. Henderson, and a couple of other people were the group who were responsible for the founding of the. But most of all, Mr. Abbott Lawrence Lowell, who was just retiring as president, and as a matter of fact, he gave his estate for the endowment thereof. One of the society was put together for the reason that Mr. Lowell particularly thought that the PhD was a barnacle on the keel of progress, and he wanted to do something to break it. So he was interested in that, and he worked hard to give young people the chance to develop without the rigid requirements of a PhD degree. The way it was organized was that once appointed, you could take any course in Harvard University that you chose to, but you might not be examined. But one other thing that was very wise and helpful was that the junior and senior fellows, the senior fellows being the people, the governing body, including Henderson, Whitehead, Lowell, Samuel Eliot Morison, and others, dined with them every Monday night. And the idea was that you should have conversation, because Mr. Whitehead missed the elegant and stimulating conversation that he was accustomed to in Cambridge, England.
Yes.
And he was a remarkable person. The conversation was fantastic, and I was fortunate enough to be from time to time invited to his home, and Mrs. Whitehead's was equally spectacular.
So, I was going to say about the PhDs, Oxford and Cambridge managed to solve the problem by not giving any for a long, long time. And, but Harvard apparently did give them, but
I must say that one thing about
custom.
when later I went to Cambridge, England, I had the opportunity of dining at high table with several of the colleges, and the conversation was not as good as it was in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Inferior to that at Boston. Yeah. I could imagine, yes. Did you have any contacts then, or I was going to ask you whether Walter Cannon was a fellow?
No, Walter Cannon was not a fellow. As a matter of fact, there were at that time no senior fellows from the medical school.
Ah, I see.
Unless you count Mr. Henderson as that.
Yes. Did you have any contacts then or earlier with Percival Bailey, who you followed here?
No. My contacts with Percival Bailey were mostly or really began in the 50s, when I was going frequently to clinical medical meetings. And for some reason or other, we seemed to get on very well and had a nice conversation fairly frequently. And then after I came to Chicago and succeeded him at the University of Illinois, we got on very well, and we had many informative conversations.
We're getting up to the war years and of the 40s, and I understand you were engaged in the studies initiated by Professor Cohn of Harvard,
Yeah.
which became very important later in the course of the war.
Yes, just at the time when I got through my term as a junior fellow, Dr. Cohn was beginning to get results with his fractionation of blood plasma. And he had a group of brilliant chemists, but they knew absolutely nothing about an animal.
Yes.
So I found myself in charge of what they called their morphological studies, and we worked on fibrin foam, fibrin film, and the various kinds of controls for albumin and so on.
I had a friend who also worked with Dr. Cohn. He described him as rather Germanic. Was that your impression of Dr. Cohn?
No, my impression of Dr. Cohn is that he was a full-blown American.
Oh, really?
He was in a great hurry. He did a good many things. He did much of his planning and so on in a social setting, which I think is an American characteristic. And for instance, every summer he would invite successively one or two people each weekend to when he was down on Cape Cod and planned the work that this person was going to do for the next year.
Well, that could have been rather that could have been rather exhausting, I would think.
Well,
for the victim.
He managed it pretty well, and Mrs. Cone was a fine hostess, and it was I think we always look forward to our planning next year's work.
I see. You had contact with Frank. You worked with Frank Ingraham there. Did you not?
I particularly worked with Frank Ingram and maintained a relationship with him as long as he lived. And I count him as one of my inspirations, as well as one of my good and enduring friends. The year at the Children's, he was not in residence because he had to take time off because of illness. But when it came to Dr. Cone's project, he inherited the job of the neurosurgery.
I see.
And we worked together, and as everybody did during the war, we did 3 jobs at the same time. And we wrote some papers which came out rather well, and then we started working on radiation, particularly gamma radiation, and he continued that up until the 60s, even after I left Chicago, after I left Boston.
Now this brings us to the end of the war, 46-7, and I think you then went abroad.
Then I had a Guggenheim.
Yes.
And went to Cambridge, England, and worked for a year in Adrian's laboratory.
Yes. Adrian was already a Nobel Prize winner.
He had
many years.
He had the Nobel Prize many years before that.
Yes.
But he was, I was perhaps most closely associated during that time with Hodgkin and Huxley, which were on their way to
yes.
to another Nobel Prize.
Yes. Did you have I think you said Barcroft was still active.
He was emeritus at that time.
Yes.
But he was working among other things, on fetal hemoglobin, and some of his fractionations were giving him problems, which some of Dr. Cone's investigations were helpful, and so he would call me in, and we would have conversations.
Yes.
I found him a most inspiring person.
Did you have any English contacts in neurology at that time?
In clinical neurology, I suppose so, but not very seriously. The most valuable contact that I made was with Professor Dorothy Russell, who became one of my very best friends, and she was just being appointed to head the Bernard Barron Institute in the London hospital, and I always have thought that she was a neuropathologist of very considerable elegance.
You returned to Harvard after this spell in Cambridge as a teacher. You came back to Harvard.
Yes, I came back there.
What as now?
Assistant professor.
And you were teaching at Harvard Medical School then?
Yes.
And
at about that time, Dr. Alvin Pappenheimer, a senior,
yeah.
had come up to Dr. J. Howard Miller's department. Dr. Miller had been a pupil of Dr. Pappenheimer's, and it was in his laboratory that we isolated a virus which has proved to be of considerable use in the study of myelin degeneration and regeneration, and which we named the JHM virus because it came from J. Howard Miller's laboratory.
I see, yeah. That was it. Oh, yes, that was the... now, we come to Indianapolis, and how did a mere Bostonian get so far west?
I was working along in Boston, and one day Dr. Alexander Ross in Indianapolis wrote to Stanley Cobb asking that he recommend a neuropathologist, somebody to start a neuropathologist in a center where they never had one before. Dr. Cobb's knowledge of me would seem to me, and still seems, a little bit casual, because the only thing that he ever saw of me was that he and I got together once a year and correlated the grades in neuropathology with the general pathology and assigned them and sent them off. But anyway, he recommended me. And I accepted the offer with considerable enthusiasm, and it all worked out quite nicely.
Well, this was apparently a favorable climate here for the development of neuropathology as an independent discipline.
Dr. Mohawk used to say that neuropathology will never get anywhere until they develop some new methods. Yes. And he was quite right, because about 1950, the electron microscopy, which had been developed previously, was adapted to the central nervous system, which was a considerable job. And also, through the 50s, a number of microchemical methods were developed, so that between 1950 and 1960, the neuropathology was practically a new science.
So,
and it was one of the most important periods in the development of neuropathology, I think probably there ever has been.
So this was where the technology and the practice came together.
This is where the methods that Dr. Wolbach had been looking for suddenly in a shower all came together.
Yes. I take it that you were organizing along this line. You were organizing residency training in this discipline. Then.
Yes, I was doing resident training to a certain extent in Boston, but but when I went to Indianapolis, that was one of my main jobs, and it certainly has been in Chicago. And it remains now that I am at Rush. And again, this is the one-to-one teaching,
Yes.
and this is what I enjoy doing most of all.
Orville, there are so many things really to ask you about involving your period in Indianapolis. How long did you spend? You were in Indianapolis, 8 years in Indianapolis, and then you came here to Chicago. But it seemed that there were other matters of importance.
Yes, it was at that time that another one of these, shall we say, prejudices of mine, that it is the duty of a neuropathologist to have close association with neurologists and neurosurgeons, and I began joining and going to a number of especially neurosurgical, but some neurological societies, and I believe that you make a contribution to the neurosciences in general, but you also make a contribution to yourself and to the university by doing that. And that also holds for the very time-consuming business of the peer review committees of the National Institutes of Health, which I began while I was in Indianapolis and continued for 12 years.
You set up, what was the slide session that comes to mind? You set this up.
A moment ago I said that the great period, 1950 to 1960, was so very productive of new methods. As a matter of fact, it got so productive that there was no place in the meetings of the American Association of Neuropathologists for any kind of discussion and comparison of cases, so that the meetings were of no help to people who had to make diagnoses for the surgeons and for the neurologists. So Dr. Helena Riggs and I got together and we decided we'd have a group of people who really wanted to keep up the standards of their diagnosis, and we picked out 15 and had a little session, each one of us bringing a slide. This was highly successful, and to our horror, the next morning there was tremendous pressure to get to open this to all people. So we finally did, much against our better judgment. And the next year, that would be 1960, we had an open session, and we thought that there would be about half a dozen people who would turn up. But lo and behold, almost all the people at the meeting, some 150 or so, turned up, and it has continued to be an important part of the
This was kind of
meeting ever since.
This was kind
but
of.
we said, because we were so disgusted about being forced to do this against our will, that we set it up as a separate entity with a separate treasury and so on. And now, after all these years, it still continues in its separate way.
I see. Well, this is a case where the breakaway sort of
Yes.
got caught up with the rest. Coming to Chicago, I don't have a date on that, but I think it was around 1960.
It actually was September 1st, 1959.
Okay. And you came here and succeeded Percival Bailey as professor of neuropathology.
The business of the title is very amusing. Dean Bennett, whom I had known in Boston, was dean, and he rather timidly said, "Now, I think we're going to have to offer you the title of professor of neurology, because there is no place in the list of appointments of University of Illinois for a professor of neuropathology." So I said, "Well, that was quite all right." And then eventually they changed it to professor of neurosurgery, because Frank Ingram and such people, a considerable amount of amusement that
that you would suddenly become a surgeon.
professor of neurosurgery, but it ended up as a professor of neuropathology, which was what I should have been in the beginning.
Yeah, they finally got it straight, huh?
Yes.
Coming here, you already knew Dr. Krakauer, who was head of.
Yes, I knew Dr. Krakauer.
From Harvard.
He was at the Children's Hospital when I was there as resident. He was a fellow or something at
Yes,
that time.
I think he was. Yes, before he went down to Puerto Rico. That would be,
Yes.
Yes.
That was a very good arrangement, because he and I were able to manage the two departments almost as one, and that was a lot better than the isolation which was the case at the University of Indiana.
I see. I take it that you just continued the training of residents in all of these disciplines: neuropathology, neurology, neurosurgery, and pathology here at the University of Illinois.
Yes, there were a few people who took their elective time in pathology in my laboratory, and actually two of them became career neuropathologists. One was Varakis, who is now in Greece, but essentially it was neurology and neurosurgical residents. I had facilities for training more people than were produced by the University of Illinois. And first came the establishment of the services at Rush, they came over both from Dr. Cohen's department and from Dr. Wishner's department, and I gladly took them on. But in addition, people came from many parts of the country, from St. Louis, from Atlanta, from Burlington, Vermont, and other places. And I had an arrangement that lasted for about 10 years of taking them regularly from the University of Wisconsin.
So,
I felt that this was good for my residents, but to see the different people of the different disciplines. But it also had a somewhat more serious impact because it showed the shortage of training of neuropathology for people who needed it for their clinical career.
mm-hmm. What about neuropath at Cook County?
Oh, when I came to Chicago, it was very shortly after, within a month or so, I was approached by Dr. Ben Lichtenstein, who had been doing the neuropathology at Cook County and who dearly wanted to get rid of it.
Yes.
He asked me if I would meet with Dr. Zanto and talk it over. So I said yes, I would, so I took it on to the extent of doing a brain cutting and working up the brains, which gave me marvelous material for my
Yes.
teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I continued that for 26 years, and taken all in all, my associations with Cook County Hospital were very happy.
What about your relations with the American? You were on the American Board of Neurological Surgery, were you?
No,
Not on the board.
one of my activities at the University of Illinois was that the Board of Neurological Surgery wanted to meet here. Chicago, after all, is an easy place to get to, and wondered whether there were not proper facilities. Well, Dr. Olberg he said, Orville can attend to this.
Yes.
Which was quite a job. I provided the facilities that they needed, put them up at the University Club. They liked it so well that for most of the time I was here, they continued to meet. But as Dr. Olberg used to say, for all those years, everybody who was certified in neurological surgery was certified right here.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh. Okay. Retirement from Illinois, 1979, and you come then to Rush University.
1977.
77.
And then went over there, and once again I was training there.
Training residents. Yes. Uh-huh.
And I have, of course, stopped doing that now, but but we had some, but the people, especially well, both in neurology and neurosurgery at the University, at Rush University, are exceptionally fine, and it was a great pleasure.
Dr. Bailey, your career has covered a period from the work of Harvey Cushing, Percival Bailey, and when their work was new, one might almost say, and when Harry Zimmerman, Abner Wolf, Helena Riggs in the 30s were laying the foundations of the science of neuropathology. Would you like to add some thoughts to that rather general statement?
I would, I could add only, I think, that I was rather privileged in being in neuropathology from the time when it was a hobby or byproduct of some clinicians until it became a vast, very productive subspecialty. It was, I remember Mr. Whitehead said that when he was a mathematician, when he was studying mathematics in the 1880s at Cambridge, he had the best teachers that were available in the whole world. And he said, and you know, I have lived long enough so that everything I was taught is found to be incorrect.
Well, you haven't reached that stage yet. That I'm sure of. I think that this probably ends our formal interview. I'd like to, as interviewer, I would like to add a few comments, with your permission, Dr. Bailey.
Yes, sir.
You've written that L.J. Henderson, who was a scientific guiding light of your early career at Harvard, could have outshone their romance department had he lectured on the French novel. I can add that Orville Bailey could give points to any department of English, whether conducting a seminar in the genre of criminal detection or composing a prize essay for the Chicago Literary Club. From other inexhaustible sources, Orville can offer a disquisition on celebrated divas of the past, or a critique of the latest offering of the lyric opera. And beware also his apparently casual hobby of gardening, as I found to my dismay sometimes, conceals a mastery of horticultural law, which it is quite unwise to question. Thank you, Dr. Bailey.
Thank you.